One can imagine the nations of the world in the times of the Exodus of Egypt, how they reacted to the pretty cool news. And I would imagine, your average guy or woman in that time, sitting for breakfast in the morning, reading in the newspaper the headlines of the Red Sea miraculously splitting open as the newly liberated nation of Israel crosses to safety. Or maybe they read the newspaper during the plagues, in which they would read how Egypt was afflicted with the bloody Nile as Pharaoh stubbornly continues to refuse to let the Israelites go free. These are probably the headlines they read. And one imagines these ancient people picking up their drink, taking a sip. I already made the bracha, don't worry. And going on with their day. They read it like, oh, that's cool, that's inspiring, awesome. And they go out to milk the cows, to work the fields. They come back exhausted after a long day outside in the field, and they go to sleep. And the next day, rinse and repeat, they start their day all over again. And the reality is, I think that's probably what a lot of us do when we get inspired, when we feel inspiration, when we hear something inspiring, read something in the news that piques our interest. We read about it, we probably think about it for 10 seconds, and then we just keep scrolling on to the next thing. We probably forget. We probably don't let it stick with us and impact us in a meaningful way. In this week's Parsha, it's interesting, the Jewish people received the Torah, the entire nation of Israel. Millions of people stand before God as he reveals himself before everybody, and he gives us the Torah. In a very, very special Parsha, gives us the Ten Commandments. Unbelievable Parsha. And one would think that in such a Parsha, maybe this would be the Parsha that's named after Moshe. Maybe this Parsha should be called Parshas Moshe. Moshe, who led the Jewish people, who spoke to God, who helped facilitate all of this. Yet very interestingly, in this foundational, fundamental Parsha, it's called Yisro. It's called Yisro. Who was Yisro? Yisro was Moshe's father-in-law, his idolatrous priest father-in-law. This week's Parsha about the Ten Commandments, about the revelation of the Torah, is named after none other than Yisro. Why is that? Seems a little bit odd. Perhaps the reason is, I forgot where I heard this, but perhaps the reason is that Yisro did something that really we should all emulate in our lives. The Torah begins, Vayishma Yisro. Yisro heard about everything that happened. And eventually, due to his hearing what happened, he was motivated to immediately get up and to relocate, to uproot himself and his family. And they went to join up with the Jewish people. We have a tradition that he converts to Judaism, and he joins up with the Jewish people. After everything that he had experienced in his life, all the idolatry, he heard this. He could not deny the amazingness of what he had heard, the miracles of what he heard, and he was motivated to act immediately. And that indeed is a foundational lesson for all of us. In life, so many times we get inspired, we hear nuggets of information. This very video you're watching, I'm sure, is absolutely blowing your mind and inspiring you to make sincere, deep life changes. I'm joking. But a lot of times we feel very inspired, and yet too often we don't act on that inspiration. We let it get stale. We say, maybe tomorrow I'll act on it. I'm not going to do anything about it today. And I think that is our problem. And we learn from Yisro that when you get inspired, if you want it to stick, to make an imprint on you, to impact your life, you need to act today. I would just conclude by just giving a personal example of this, that I was one time running, just a beautiful day in October. I was running, and I listened to a podcast called Kosher Money, and on that podcast, they interviewed a guy by the name of Richard Simon. Richard Simon is an Orthodox Jewish man from the D.C. area, and he wrote a book called Unplug about his digital detox and how eventually he kind of stopped using his smartphone and embraced a life without a smartphone. And I had been thinking about that for a very long time. I assumed I could never do it because I'm a rabbi. I need to be connected to people. I need to be posting on social media, etc. And I was very inspired by what I heard. And I'm like, I don't care about all the calculations. I felt inspiration right now, today. I need to go ahead and make the plunge as well. And I immediately, when I got home, I ordered his book. and I prepared my own plans for my own digital detox in which I would stop using a smartphone and embrace a smarter phone. Right here, this is the Wonder Phone. You should get yours today. But my point being, I was very inspired, and I knew if I would wait even a day to do something, take some tangible action, nothing would happen. And I would carry on with my smartphone forever. And thank God it's been over 3 months, and life has been magical with this device. So I bid you all a good Shabbos. Anytime that you feel inspired in your life in whatever area, I really encourage you to act on that inspiration immediately, as we learned from none other than Moshe's father-in-law, Yisro. Good Shabbos to all.